So, meet my lovely guest, Erica, and this is not the new bi-color trend. This is the after. So I gave her a layered shag, and you can see that with this placement, it really does address the entire head. And we're not talking about doing too many sections. So I'm just going to get this out of the way. And again, it's a half head demo. So I'm going to start by taking the first section from the middle of her ear down to the nape. So this part will just section and clip out of the way. And the product that I'll be using is Multi Techniques powder, and that is the 8-level lift lightener, and that's mixed with 40 volume. And as a traveling colorist, I'm lucky that I had products, but basically Multi Techniques powder is the product that I had in my closet, so I'm super thankful because we definitely need something that's going to give us more lifting power with a doll head. So I'm just mixing it up, and I used a 1:2 ratio, and I really like to make sure that it's mixed so that all the crystals are dissolved. And with a powder lightener, anything that's not mixed properly will show in your application. So just make sure that you set yourself up from the beginning. And again, this is Multi Techniques powder mixed at a 1:2 ratio. And the consistency that I like is kind of like a loose yogurt. So not like a Greek or a Faye, but you can see that it's got enough, the viscosity is loose enough so that when I sweep it onto the hair, it will go on smoothly. So the first piece that I'm going to do, and again, this is painting layers. It's balayage on a layered haircut. And let me move her in so you can see her better. And if the comments are in the way, just swipe down and it'll give you more of the view. So the first thing I'm going to do is just make sure that everything is combed through. And I always start with my planchette, working with a clean spot for the ends to go, and then I like to keep a well of product. So this is something that I do which helps to really keep me organized. And I am spreading the product thinner so I'm able to control the amount of product that I pick up. So the product lives on the edge of my bristles, and this really helps to give me more control in my application. So because this is a layered haircut, the goal is really just to create a lot of movement within the haircut itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is address the hairline. And with the hairline, I'm just going to make sure that I smooth and pull all of the hair out of the way, and also make sure that there's no tangles. So with this application, I'm going to make sure that when you're dealing with layered hair, you have shorter lengths. So you want to make sure that you hold your tension up a bit higher. And I start my application and just feather it into the nape area. So this is a high impact way of addressing a haircut without doing too many pieces. So the beauty of balayage is that it gives you a really soft and graceful grow out. So don't be afraid to take larger sections when you're balayaging hair. And this is L'Oreal Professional's Multi Techniques powder mixed with 40 volume at a 1:2 ratio. And I am painting Miss Erica's layers. And if you see what I'm doing here, as I worked down through zone 3, I'm sliding and shifting the tension so that the hair will lay the way I want it to lay. And now I'm going to take more of the Multi Techniques powder with 40 volume, and I'll just adjust her so you can see. And I'm going to paint the interior of the hair. So first I did the nape, and now I'm painting the interior. So this is addressing two surfaces, and this is how I'm able to create more movement without having to take too many pieces, okay? Any questions so far? And the goal is when you're doing your application, always make it look like it's done in one sweep. So even with the planchette, I'm making sure that I float the lightener on through the lengths. So if you have a tendency to push too hard, all it does is remove the product. So a hot tip is to make sure that as you go through your application on the mid-lengths and the ends, ease off and make sure that you allow the product to get delivered onto the surface of the hair. So I want you guys to see the application and the placement. So typically I would use perforated plastic, but I'm just gonna put down a little bit of cotton, and this will help to prop the hair up so that I'm able to show you guys what the pieces look like. So thanks for tuning in. I am doing balayage on a layered haircut. So I have the after for you if you're just tuning in. So stick around at the end and you'll see what the final result looks like. But this is a high impact way of working smarter to make sure that we're getting effective placement. So now when I do this sectioning, and again, this is a doll head, so I'm able to take smaller sections, but with a person, you're gonna adjust the size of the sections depending on their hairline and how much hair they have. So with Erica, I'm gonna go right at her temple and just cut diagonal back and get this hair out of the way. So this is my second subsection. And the third piece that I'm painting, I'm just going to take a diagonal, or it's a little triangle, right off of her hairline. And then this hair I'll get out of the way. And I'm working with L'Oreal Professional's Multi-Techniques powder, and it's mixed with 40 volume at a 1:2 ratio. And that's a preference of mine because I find that it allows me to work in a way where I can float the lightener on. So remember, I always keep one spot on my planchette clean, and that way I'm able to make sure that I don't create reverse marbleization underneath, okay? So the first thing I do always is to smooth the hair. I'm gonna make her right here. And we're gonna use sliding tension. And sliding tension is when you pinch the hair higher, and then as you work down, you slowly adjust the tension so that the hair is able to shift. So when you're painting layers, it's really important to notice where the shorter lengths are because that's where you're going to grab the hair. So again, this is a high impact placement where it's broader pieces that are being painted, but because it's a surface application, we have the negative space built in. So now I'm gonna use the sliding tension, okay? And of course, if this was a real person, I would put some cotton in to protect her face. And I would also be using perforated plastic, but I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna shift her and then we'll do the application just on the interior. So it's really connecting two surfaces and giving you a very high impact application for layered haircuts. So this is Multi-Techniques powder mixed with 40 volume at a 1:2 ratio. And you can see that once the pieces are painted, I'm just guiding it to where I want it to land. So I'm just gonna put a little piece of cotton there to protect my sections. And if you're just tuning in, I am working with L'Oreal Professional's Multi-Techniques powder, and it's mixed at a 1:2 ratio. And I'm just gonna take this section and the remainder of the hair I split in half. So now I'm just gonna shift her. And I always work with a different brush so that I can make sure that my lightener is constantly as smooth and creamy as possible. And if you have any snaggles like I do on my planchette, just get it off because that will end up interfering with your application. So from the very beginning, your setup is super important. So I'm making sure that all of the straggly hairs, and if you have a planchette with perforation on the surface, this helps to keep everything smooth and creamy. So this piece that I'm painting now, is just behind the face frame. And I'm going to paint the front surface as well. So we're getting two surfaces. This is the one that's just behind the lower part of her face frame. And this is a really impactful way to paint layers. So whether it's a face frame or you do the entire technique, this is a really easy way to get a full head application done without working too hard. So often we put in too many pieces, but with an application like this with larger pieces, your negative space is already built into the section, okay? Can everyone see? Let's see, do we have any questions? What brush do you use? I am actually using a Fleur brush. Okay, and I'm actually gonna get a little bit more product. So this is my second subsection, and already, just with the 2 rows that I've done on Miss Erica, I've done half her head. So it's not about doing 5 million pieces, and with layers, you just wanna make sure you're pinching the section where the hair will not separate. And once you get the lightener onto the hair, the layers will stick to the product, which ends up holding the section together. So if you look at the way I'm sweeping, I'm feathering the product closer to the scalp. And then as I work through zone 2 and 3, I'm just floating more lightener on. And this way, by floating it on, you're putting a really soft touch, and this gives you more deposit of product, okay? So now I'm just going to lay her hair, and you can see how I'm just gently tapping. And the more you float it, the more product that sticks. So this is a really important tip to consider when you're practicing at home while we are waiting to get back to work. So even now, I'm just lightly going over any of the pieces that look like the application might be uneven. So the goal is to make sure it looks like it was done in one piece. I really love a beautiful sun-kissed effect. So for me, it's all about having a seamless regrowth. So it's a high impact way of creating highlights, and it gives you a really natural beach glow effect. So I grew up on the Jersey Shore, and I used to ride my bike every day from like 9 in the morning until 7 at night, no joke. And I was always looking at little kids' hair and obviously surfers and lifeguards. So it's just something that's always appealed to my aesthetic. So I'm gonna go ahead and section off the last 2. So this is going into the face frame, above or high recession, and also addressing the money piece. So I'm just gonna get that out of the way, and I'm gonna turn her back so you can see. And for those of you that are asking, I'm filming this in selfie mode, so I am right-handed, not left. Someone actually asked me that during my live yesterday, and you can catch me every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my page at Min Kim Colorist. So join in. I've been working on creating bite-sized bits, and then now I'm tying all the pieces together. But it's really a pleasure to be able to connect with all of you. So thanks for tuning in. I am painting layers, and I am using L'Oreal Professional's Multi-Techniques powder, and it's mixed at a 1:2 ratio with 40 volume. And I can see right here that the hair doesn't look smooth. So I'm just gonna use my comb to smooth it out. And again, remember, sliding tension, the closer you hold it to where you're painting, the more tension and the smoother the hair will be. So this is a hot tip. And then I'm really doing a full saturation on the hairline and the nape surface. And this gives you a really high impact result, okay? So you can see that I'm really just using the edge of my bristles to deposit the product, and I want the softness at the base. So for softness, you want to make sure that you can see some of the strands. For saturation, you want to make sure that the product is really, really applied so that you don't see the hairs through the mid-legs and the ends. So this is where I'm going to float the product on, and I'm literally just gently grazing the surface of the hair. So you can see that as I work through, the lightener is sticking to the layers. And now this is around the face frame what's going to show. So I did put the lengths onto the planchette. And if you guys want to see, when you move the planchette, the product spreads evenly, okay? So I'm just making sure I have enough product on there. Lay her down. And my next section, I'm just going to split in half, and it's basically like a diamond shape. And this is allowing me to hit multiple surfaces, and also by painting larger sections and on multiple surfaces, I'm really able to address the layers in a effective and quick manner that has the negative space built in to the hair that's within the surfaces that I'm painting, okay? So the first surface that I'll be painting here, and I'm just gonna smooth this out with my comb. And the first surface I'm painting is the front, and then I'll do the interior, and then we'll connect everything through the mid-lengths and the ends, okay? So remember, smooth out, pick up, and then apply. So if you're heavy-handed, my advice is to start your application away from the regrowth area and then to feather the product up. And this way you don't have to worry about getting a blotch, because when we're working on our clients, when we're back to work, we're gonna have to deal with heat from the scalp. So let me turn her so you can see the interior part of this. And sliding tension, you can see that the hair just shifts within, and it's allowing me to paint the interior. Okay. So I pick up a controlled amount of product on my brush, lives on the edges, and make sure I'm not blocking. And then I start my application on the top surface. So I'm painting the front of the section and also the top. So this is giving me a high impact result for layered haircuts. And I'm working with multi-techniques powder and 40 volume. And the ratio I like to work with this product is 1:2. And it's because I really love the viscosity. And you can see that I'm really able to float the lightener on. If you have to work too hard to get the lightener to move down the surface of the hair, typically it means that there's something wrong with the mix. It might be too thick. So with this product, I typically use perforated plastic. And because I want you guys to be able to see the sectioning, I'm just propping cotton in between, but the plastic does help for it to process faster. So I'm gonna start with my back piece. Okay. And again, I'm painting the front surface and then the top. So let's see if I can get her head to move without popping off. Good Lord. Okay. Oh yes, success. Okay. Any questions so far? All right, so far we are doing good. Erica's head stayed on. If you tuned into my first live on my page, you saw her pop off the stand. So now I'm super paranoid about that happening every time. But thanks for tuning in. You're watching me at Min Kim Colorist. I am doing balayage on a layered haircut. The product I'm using is Multi Techniques powder with 40 volume. My preferred mix ratio is a 1:2. And the reason why I love a 1:2 mix is that it really allows me to glide that product on. You can see that it's just smoothly going on. So it really isn't about me having to work. It's really about using the brush as the method of applying it. So it's really just floating on. I'm not pushing, I'm not forcing anything. It's really gliding on really smoothly. So if you don't feel like the product is going on as easily as you would like, chances are, if you do a looser mix, and something I like to do when I'm working in the shop is I keep my Magie Creme developer, and this is 40 volume in a little squeezy bottle. And that way I'm able to adjust my mix without having to leave the station. So I'm working with Multi Techniques powder in 40 volume because it's what I have at home. So for any of you wondering, it is a 8-level lift powdered lightener. And this is going into the top of my section. So typically I use perforated plastic, and this helps to keep everything separated. It also allows me to rinse in sections, but because I want you guys to be able to see what I've been doing, I'm just using cotton to prop it up. And also we know the reality is with doll heads, there's no heat being put off. So my last section right now is gonna be from the front money piece. And once we're done, I'll show you the final result. So I've done 4 subsections going diagonal back. I'm using L'Oreal Professional's Multi Techniques powder with 40 volume. It's mixed at a 1:2 ratio. And the thing I love about that mix is that it really allows me to float the product on. So I'm able to get it on really gracefully without having to work too hard. So this is my impactful placement for a layered haircut. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you give me a follow at Min Kim Colorist. I go live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so let's use our time wisely to make sure that we're getting upskilled and staying on top of our work. So I'm gonna turn her a little more. Okay. And the lightener, I have a question about will the lightener reach the surface? The lightener is only on the surfaces that I'm painting. So I'm painting the front and then the top interior, and then I'm hitting the lengths through the layers on the mids and ends. So the negative space or all the depth is built within the section, and as the layers start to connect, this is where you get the brightness through the ends. So once I'm done, I'll show you the final result, which will demonstrate what I'm talking about. And I'm again starting with tension. Hold it closer to create a firmer surface. And I'm doing a very full saturation, but feathered. And you can see that it's kind of like I'm sketching onto the surface of the hair. And I'm connecting the hairline to the corner of the face frame, commonly called the money piece, signature piece. I always say this is the piece that will make or break you. And literally, because you know, when clients sneak into that bathroom, the first thing they're doing is checking the front, right? So if you don't get that piece right, they'll either, well, hopefully they come back for a redo, or they just won't come back. So we want to make sure that we're upskilling ourselves so that when we get back, we can continue to grow and develop and take care of our clients. So I'm missing all my clients. I'm missing having all my face-to-face live classes with everyone. So I can't wait for us to get back together, but thanks for tuning in. I am Min Kim Colorist, and I am painting layers on Miss Erica. And this is a high impact, full application And on the doll head, I was able to do it with 4 subsections. And it's really about creating brightness and leaving the depth in between the surfaces. So I'm taking like diagonal back subsections and then and by doing that, I'm able to address the front and the top surface. So let's see if I can get Miss Girlfriend to tilt her head a bit more. Oh, yeah, okay. So it's Multi-Techniques powder, 40 volume, painting the front surface, okay. Float it on. And I'm painting the top. And I'm creating a natural beach glow effect by connecting the points higher on the part line than I will in the back. So I'm using sliding tension. And by using sliding tension, it allows me to shift the hairs underneath, and the layers actually connect through zone 3. So I'm just making sure that I float the lightener on so that I have full saturation, which will give me the lift that I need when I'm working with a powdered lightener, okay? So nice and smooth. And the last section here, I'm just gonna grab the entire thing, okay? So let's see. Ooh. Can she go anymore? All right, here we go. I'm gonna back her up a little bit. So this is the last piece that I'm doing, and it's 4 subsections. I've done about 3 pieces in each row, 1 in the first row and 3 in the others. I'm addressing the face frame and the top surface. So it's a really quick, easy way. And I'm grabbing a larger section for the last part because this is the back of the head. So I want to have a little bit more depth within. If you wanted to have more brightness, you could split it in half. So again, this is an approach that's really customizable for any of your clients. And it's a painted layered haircut with Multi-Techniques powder. And I just want to make sure that before I start, I smooth out any of the tangles that she may have. And this is a really easy way to set yourself up from the very beginning. And I'm going to follow the natural flow of her hair. So this is going to be towards the back, okay? And if you're tuning in, I'm working with Multi-Techniques powder with 40 volume. It's mixed at a 1:2 ratio, and this really allows me to get the type of application that I want, which is going to be smooth and seamless, okay? So I'm painting the front, and then this will be the top that goes into the back, and then all of this hair inside will be the negative space, okay? So remember, start your application a little bit lower if you're heavy-handed. And also, if you want to create more diffusion, start lower and then spread the product up. And as I'm working, I'm paying attention to where the piece before ended. And that way what I can do is just make sure that to create a beach glow effect, which is something that's natural and sun-kissed, I'm going to start the pieces so that there's a little bit more depth towards the back. And you can see that the layers are starting to pop here. So all I do is adjust the hairs that I'm holding. And now I'm just gonna go and finish the application and just spread and work the lightener up. So the goal is always to make sure that your pieces look like it was done in one sweep, okay? So I like mine to be really soft and seamless. And I'm getting tons of phone calls from my clients that their highlights still look good. So it's a beautiful thing to stay connected with our clients and to stay connected with you guys. So make sure you tune in and check me out every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am doing bite-sized bits of balayage, and next week I think I'm gonna do a color technique. So keeping it fresh, but thanks for tuning in. This is painting layers with multi-techniques powder and 40 volume. And I'm really slowing down this last piece so you can see what it's like when you float that lightener on. So it's really soft and there isn't a lot of pressure. And by having this really soft application, it gives you the saturation that you need, okay? So this is the application. And I'll give you guys a closer look, okay? So we did the, oh, she's not gonna cooperate. We did the face frame. We addressed the nape. So make sure you go back to watch from the beginning. It's a full head application. And with Erica, I was able to do her in 4 subsections. So on a human, it might be 1 more, 5 maximum, but this is really a high impact and effective way to get a really beautiful light result on a layered haircut. So let me take the clip out and I'll show you guys what the after looks like. Let's see if I can pop her head off. Wait, okay, so this is the finished result. Remember, hot tip, whether it's the top, the mids, or the ends, whatever you see is what you get. So your result will 100% look like your application. So make sure that you're starting with a soft application at the regrowth. Remember, there's heat on the head, so this will process faster than through the mid-lengths and the ends. Float the lightener on through the mid-lengths and the ends, and this way you have the saturation that you need. If you see the strands of hair on the ends, it will 100% affect the lift that you get. So oftentimes it's not the product, it's the user and the application. And we did the nape, face frame, part line, and all the interior pieces. So I think this was like 10 pieces. So this would be 20 pieces for a full head application. This is the final result. And I didn't tone her because I wanted you to see. It's really more about the contrast and how it's a layered haircut, but there's no like streaks of dark spots. Like everything is really blended. It addressed the whole head. You guys love it? So someone wants to see the blow dry and what toner. What toner I use will depend on what I have in my closet. It's not much, guys. But I actually styled her with the Dyson Corral and I'm loving that. Any questions before we go? Okay, thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been a pleasure. Make sure you check me out at Minkim Colorist. See you every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And stay tuned to this channel to see the lineup of all the amazing artists here in the US. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Bye.